Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka podcast.
Baka. It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Baka. Sing along if you know the words. We're an anime podcast that every 2 weeks we watch an anime and then come together on this podcast to discuss it and then turn the discussion over to you if you find anything interesting to talk about from a couple of Bakas like us. With that said, my name is Troy, and I am the one with the spiky hair because he likes to pretend he's an anime character. It's a true story. I am joined by my co-host. First up, we have the Luck Dragon to my Fantasia. That's right, Jeremy.
Okay. Doing pretty good. Busy day. I actually got to play some Diablo 3. I never kind of got into it because I missed the consequence of Diablo 2's horrible skill system. It's my way of viewing it as a roguelike, I guess. Failure is fun. And yeah. And so the freedom in Diablo 3 to be able to just randomly switch outside of battle whenever I want, it turned me off, and I finally came back to it, and I have now beat it twice, and I'm loving adventure mode, and it's pretty cool. But Crusaders suck. I just need to find a better build for her. Poor Johanna.
Or you could play Path of Exile.
I was about to say, you're about to anger the Path of Exile zealot.
I know. So, when is that patch coming out? Because I want to play that. That's kind of why I got into it.
Oh, it's fairly soon. It should be next month or the month after.
Okay, sweet.
Let's introduce the zealot himself. He is the wardrobe to my Narnia. Jason, how are you doing?
Fantastic. Actually, no, I'm terrible. I can't believe you made me watch. Never mind.
I did not pick this anime.
I feel your pain. I feel like heavy weights of shame. Ugh.
Anyways. Yeah, doing great. I got back into Subnautica. I bought it when it was only like the second patch after Alpha first came out, and I haven't played it since. And wow, I've never had a survival sandbox game hit me in the feels before. It was pretty amazing. There's without getting spoilery, there's a moment where there's a ship looking for your wreck. And like they actually find you, and the ship's coming down to save you. And short story that you don't get saved, but that that was obvious. But the spoilery part, I felt it. The game made me feel like I had a chance to save them, and I got to the end of this thing where I was like, "Yay! I can let the ship land." It's like, nope, you're infected. What? So, anyways, yeah. So that I run outside and like, and I'm like, no, my last chance for rescue just got blown out of the sky. Anyways,
that sounds like a great game. Actually, on Crate and Crowbar, one of the podcasts I love listening to, they rave. One of the people, the hosts, Pip, raves about Subnautica all the time. I just haven't got a chance to get it.
It's great because it feels like, it's sandboxy, crafty, but it's got that like terrifying feeling of the ocean because that's cool. That's all there is. There's like one little island and then like it's all ocean. And so it's like you'll go into these areas where the ocean floor will just drop out from underneath you and it's darkness. And you'll just start hearing sounds and you just like, you turn around and you're like, nope.
Getting out of here.
Yeah, I know there's stuff I need down there, but no.
I heard they've made a whole bunch of new things you can construct in it and all kinds.
I made a submarine. I
know you guys are both stalling to talk about the anime. We are going to talk about this anime.
Come on, please.
Anyway, so how's the coconut to my Goku, Troy?
Wait, on the coconut?
I'm so confused.
Coconut. Our main protagonist. To my Goku.
I'm Coconut. You're
see?
Goku.
Yeah. See,
okay.
Yeah.
I see. I am inferior to your fighting abilities.
No, I'm calling you a girl.
But at least I got my stuff wrapped up.
How you doing? How's your week been?
I'm doing good, but I didn't do anything different than I did the last time we all got together. I've been playing the same games, watching the same TV shows. My Hero Academia still high on my list, but it's, one episode at a time every week. More Dragon Ball. Beat Kingdom Hearts 1, went on to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Just living my life. Movie trailers came out this week. Dark Tower,
yeah.
The Defenders on Netflix, which is the team up of all the Netflix Marvel heroes. That looks really good. That's about it.
Well, I think there was also like taking down an episode and then putting a new episode up that was properly edited. And
I guess I do owe everyone an apology. If you listen to the audio version, like through iTunes, you may have gotten a little background pre-show, and I think some of you heard Jeremy peeing. I can't confirm that because I never stayed to listen to that part. I just cut it immediately. But his bathroom was pretty close to his microphone.
It really is. Closing doors makes no difference.
Let me know if he washed his hands. That'd be great.
Totally. I have one of those silent sinks,
That's a thing, huh?
That's a thing in my house.
So that has been corrected. So if you do go back to the episode, you won't be able to hear it now. So those who got to hear it, congratulations, and I do apologize. I did have an edited episode, and then I uploaded the wrong one to Jeremy, who forgot to spot check it. His fault because he's not supposed to. That's my job.
Which is funny because I always do, but I totally didn't do it that time.
Look, it's probably going to happen with this episode. You probably heard us talking before. Don't worry about it. The 5 of you that listen, you're fine anyway. Yeah. You love us.
You're our early adopters.
Guys, I know you don't want to, but we have to talk about this anime. If only to get to my anime. Yay.
Yeah, okay. All right, you got me. Just anything.
Okay, we watched Flip Flappers on Jeremy's pick because Jeremy picked this anime that he wanted to watch called Flip Flappers.
Oh, don't rub it in, man. Don't rub it in.
It is directed by Kiyotaka Oshiyama. It was written by Yuniko Ayana, and the studio is Studio 3 Hertz. I could not find anything else these people have done, which is probably not a great sign. However, I do think the reviews on this anime were relatively high, but before we get into our more spoilery section, we're going to give our non-spoiler reviews so you can determine if you want to watch it if you have not already. Since Jeremy definitely picked this anime, he can go ahead and go first.
All right. Is that a bus coming? Hold on.
Yes. Okay. I did not like this anime, as you could probably tell. I would recommend that if you're interested in seeing a good, interesting spin on a magical girl anime, go watch Madoka Magica. If you're interested in watching a funny parody spoof magical girl thing, go watch Kill la Kill. Like, there are other anime, if you want something good, that this anime seems to be commented about as in some way compared. I don't think it's fair to compare this to them in any way that presents it as a good example. I think it's a terrible, terrible example of that kind of wonderful, interesting, quirky twisting of the genre. I think the story's flimsy. I don't think the relationships have a foundation. And I think that the fetishism in the fan service just goes overboard. And I wasn't really of that mind until I got to the point where a specific character got introduced named Nyenyu with little blue pigtails, and okay, that come on, man. So yeah, totally not my cup of tea, man. Not my cup of tea.
That's fair.
So
glad you picked it. Okay, Jason.
God.
What do you think?
I'm gonna hit on the goods actually first. The visuals are amazing. Just about every transformation they did, especially the first one, I did get goosebumps. They did a fantastic job with making you feel the characters in the moment. And like I said, the visuals were fantastic. The art was good. And like with each world that they visited, it was a really great visual spectacle. There were some really neat pop culture references and art references and like quotes and stuff. Like one of the ones that I caught, it was in Kokona's dreams, and she doesn't know who's on the end of this boat. The way she's turned, if you compare that still with the illusion of old hag, young woman, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that illusion.
Oh yes, I am now.
It's a near identical copy.
Hmm.
And there's little stuff like that sprinkled throughout the anime. There was a lot I missed, but there were some that I caught. And the character development was decent. I did enjoy watching these characters grow. The bad. There were lots of weird quirks that just didn't feel like they belonged. There was no... And I'm a fan of visual storytelling, which this is what this is. It is a pure visual storytelling. Problem is that the visuals do not explain anything. And also, what the story's wrapped around, what Jeremy said, story's flimsy, there's nothing there. The idea is cool. The way it's pitched is really neat, and I was hoping for more, and it wasn't there. The ending fell flat for me. And the awkwardness of side characters, which there are a plethora, there's all this build up, and then there's just no payoff. And then, this main story, I have no idea what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have some guesses, but yeah. So, anyways, that's my spoiler-free review.
You really hit the nail on the head for a lot of my thoughts too. It's beautiful to look at, even though it can be a little overwhelming for the eyes at times. But I mean, the art in this anime, I don't usually notice such things, but it's a pretty anime. Except for maybe the action scenes felt a little.
Some of them were really good. Some of them are not great.
Some of the battles felt like they almost happened off scene, and we're just seeing after effects, like they're saving budget.
Yayaka's fight scenes were usually pretty good.
Yeah. Her Attack on Titan gear was pretty cool.
So what I'll add to Jason, as I feel this anime runs a lot on emotion. Like you're supposed to just ride this wave of emotion from one to the other. It. And usually for me, that's a great thing. I'm the emotional one. I get into the hype. I buy into the sadness. I love getting my emotions toyed with by anime. But you can't just have that. you can't only have a wave of emotion. The story jumps randomly from point to point. And I was like, wait, we just did how much work? We went to 3 worlds and I wasn't there. Why didn't we watch that? That kind of stuff happens a lot in this. Like Jason said, there's side characters that are like, oh, this is going to be a big deal. No, this character doesn't matter. 90% of these characters don't matter. There's like 4 characters that matter. But we're introduced to so many. Even at the end, we're still getting introduced to new characters. They still don't matter. However, there's some really great moments in this anime. The worlds that they go to are very creative. And while most are homages to other animes, they're still very original. And I really loved some of the set pieces. It's just the string that ties them together is totally frayed and not. I felt jumbled the entire time I watched this. Like I was not getting it.
Yeah. One cool thing I did that I went back and I looked for specifically. What ties a lot of the worlds together. It doesn't happen in all the episodes, but the majority of them, there are landmarks within the worlds that either reference or are exact copies of the real world or the base world.
Like the park and stuff.
Yeah. Or the clock tower. Or there's some the trains or the town cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start getting into it so we can talk about stuff like that. So that was our non-spoiler reviews. Now we're going to the spoiler section. So if you have not seen it, we're about to say everything. Do with what you will. That works. So that's our spoiler warning. Okay, I'm going to complain about the first thing. This anime opens up with a clock, and that clock never comes back up. It says time remaining 20 minutes and 29 seconds. I'm assuming that's till the moment they meet, but the two characters meet, but I don't know. And it didn't reach 0. It didn't come up in another episode.
Yep. That was my assumption as well.
I forgot about it completely till I went over my notes to record this podcast, and I have it written, time remaining 2029. I'm like, what was that? Why was that there?
Yeah.
So let's get straight into the characters. We're introduced to our first two. So first we have Kokona, who is just an average student. She's very indecisive about her life and what her future is going to be, which is a big theme with her. And so let's talk about Kokona. Who wants to go first?
I will. I thought her character, throughout the entire thing, I thought her character, watching her character development was good. Decent. It was decent.
Thank you.
She immediately comes standoffish and suspicious, and she is that way nearly through the entire anime. And she's always there with a sign of caution. She's always there with let's live a normal life instead of anyways,
instead of an adventurous life.
Yeah, because she's pulled on these adventures by our next character, but she doesn't want to go on these adventures. She wants to find out what she wants to do in school and do better in school, but she doesn't know what she wants to do in school. So she's in this really weird state of confusion. But as a protagonist, give her a 7.
I wonder if that's how we should rate all the girls in this. There's only like 2 guys. Well, it's 3. I didn't. Kokona was an interesting character when I was first introduced to her. And if I was to kind of cut her out of the rest of the story and everything, just evaluating her, yeah, I can agree with you on just about everything you said. It was generally the idea of the relationship that she was in with the next character and the manner in which that was developed that left me feeling awkward. Like all the development took place off screen.
Instant, right? Like it was just like, hey, we're best friends.
Yeah. Now shouldn't we be even more than that? And it's like, I think that it would have been more interesting if this took longer.
But Kokona was resisting that closeness till what, episode 7 or 8?
But that's the thing, like Troy says, she switched on a dime though. Like all of a sudden, just like bink. And so that's like the sole point that I have an issue with Kokona is her behavior in this relationship that she was in and how it felt very unfounded. And
so with everything you said, hold on to that in like a bucket and then take what Troy said and said this anime was told through emotion. For me, your bucket now kind of makes sense.
Thank you.
To play devil's advocate to what I was agreeing with you, we learn early on that Kokona and Papika, the next character, already know each other.
Poppycock.
I'm calling her Papika the whole time. You just need to accept it.
It's Papika.
That's how it's spelled. It's not going to happen.
Paprika.
Because I see paprika, and I'm trying everything not to say the R, and that's just how it's going to be.
When I heard Dr. Salt, I was like, oh, I get it. They're seasonings.
Right.
No.
But coconut is a plant or a seasoning.
It's kind of like coconut, so.
No, I looked up coconut, and I got like a flower before I could find the character. Yeah.
Look that up.
But we learned that these two characters have met each other before. When they were younger, they were both little girls. Do you think there could be some subconscious residue of that memory that's bringing them together faster?
Okay, now I've dwelled on this a little bit because the way that they immediately locked eyes when Paprika first shows up in this episode and goes by on her hoverboard and everything, there's an obvious resonance. There's something that's connecting them. And I thought it must be that crystal that we find out later, the amorphous crystal that is locked in her upper thigh in a very vulnerable location. But...
Oh, man. Why did that need to be there? Okay, go ahead.
I know, right?
Because every time it shined, never mind.
I know, right? And everybody who was curious about that crystal, that's the reason they were lifting her skirt. Yeah. And so, when I saw that, I thought, okay, there must be some kind of resonance. That must be it. And then when I saw that scene later in like the second to last episode or maybe last episode, I was like, okay, they did know each other, but obviously it had to have been wiped and it's subconscious. And Jason, you have a very interesting theory that I want to poke some holes in later and ask some questions about regarding this. But I just honestly don't have a clue. There's too many bits of information with nothing that I can thread together coherently for me to make a theory on that.
there's and you just hit the nail on the head. There's no information given. In fact, why we learn about them meeting as kids that late in the series just doesn't serve good storytelling.
But it's like throwing a handful of dirt into a giant hole that is a plot hole.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's like, oh no, she knew her.
Because the very first episode, it's who are you? Why are you this way? And as if she has no context or no recollection of who this person is. Anyway, so we're getting off track.
And like, who's the freaking dead girl or sleeping girl in that corridor after, like, right before Paprika, that girl with the red hair takes off and runs. Right before that, we get this creepy shot where you see this girl and she's in the same kind of suit as Paprika, and she's laying in this room and it's dark and she looks like she's dead or she's knocked out or something. And they're like, oh, that partner was a bust. And Paprika's like, it's all right. I'm going to go find my own candidate now. She takes off running. And I'm like, they never even come back to that. Who was the
They're killing kids in the name of adventure.
Right.
Before we go on to the next character, my thought, only a thought that didn't match up with your guys on Coconut. I know she's indecisive and she's empty, right? So she doesn't have, she's kind of a don't stand for anything, fall for everything kind of character, right? But I still wasn't able to buy into how quickly she joined up with Flip Flap. It just felt like they were like, hey, join us. No, all right.
And I was actually going to complain about that. This is another anime that, because it's told through emotions, just completely bypasses kidnapping little girls, forcing them into tiny boxes to do weird experiments.
I got a moment of Calvin and Hobbes when I saw the cardboard boxes, and I was like, oh, that's funny. But then it just, like you say, it's not reasonable. It's too whimsical.
Right. And just the idea of forcing someone to, especially young kids, to do something against their will. This seems to be a common theme through these anime that I just despise. So, anyways, let's continue. I had to get that out. Can we talk about the creepy old man robot that's perverted?
Boo something or other? Boo-chan?
Well, they call him Boo-chan, and they don't think there's other name given to him. So his name is Boo. Oh yeah. What do you want to talk about the perverted robot? I was just going to let it slide.
Well, no. So it was weird to me that it was like showing emotions and like wanting to look up the girl's skirts.
Oh,
and I'm like, why would a robot want to do that? And then also there's this really, really weird scene where he's like broken, and so they pop his top, and there's a brain inside this vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
With weird tentacle arms, and I'm just like this. And in order to find things, it doesn't use sensors or radar. No, it douses.
Okay, the dowsing rods. I loved the dowsing rods.
I
just
thought that was
because
cheeky.
It made him ridiculous, and that cheeky funny. Like that was like,
what was this purpose?
Comic relief, I guess, just more weirdness to throw in.
And also a little bit of Deus Ex.
He never saved the day.
There were a couple times he caught him when they were going to die, and they would teleport out because he was there. So he was like, "Oh no, they're falling, and they've got no way." Like in episode 1, when they're falling after transforming, and then she, reverts. They fall down, and Buchan catches them, and then they disappear. So I mean, there were a couple moments like that.
Okay, so let's talk about our other main character. So Kokona meets this character living in a pipe hidden in the park. And like a garbage area at the park, living in this big.
No, it's they call it a storage area, or actually a storage room.
Like trash.
Yeah. She calls it a storage room, but it's like you have to go through like this hole in the bush wall in order to like go in. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is Papika.
Yeah, Papika.
Just.
I'm not hearing a difference in what we're saying.
In your notes, put a space between the A and the P and the I and the K.
You want me to go through 13 pages of episodes?
Write a quick note. P-A space P-I space.
Do it, Troy. Do it.
Pronounce it like that. Pa-pika.
So like they're Southern. Pa-pika.
She's a Pikachu. That's perfect.
I hate both of you.
Jeremy, what did you think of Papika?
So Papika was very interesting at first. I actually really enjoyed her behavior and how spontaneous and off the wall and crazy she was. I had a lot of laugh out loud moments watching her. Like there was a scene where Kokona is supposed to come over and have basically a sleepover, and Papika has, where are they going to stay, right? And so you see the pipe is where they're going to stay, and she's made it beautiful. And, we'll talk more about that then, but her behavior and her absolute craziness, there's a point where they're, stuck on an island, and Kokona realizes that, there's no way off this island. So she turns to Papika and says, "How do we get out of here?" And Papika looks at the sky and sees a jetliner going by. And you know how high those things are. There's no way they're going to see her. And all she does is raise her arms, yell, "Hey, hey." And this just keeps going for like way longer than it should. And Kokona's just staring at her like, she's effing insane. She's insane. I'm stuck on this island with an insane person. So there were a lot of moments where like she entertained me a lot, but I think that they kind of crapped all over her because 2/3 of the way in, they suddenly flipped her character by giving her some memories, and completely changed her situation in the story, even making it a little bit creepy. And, maybe that's just me, but she suddenly became a creepy character. So
we'll get to that when we get to that episode.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jason?
I agree with a lot of what Jeremy said. She was a complete opposite of Papika and
Kokona.
Kokona.
Mm-hmm.
Kokona. Mm-hmm. There's no A in the
guys. Just say whatever you want.
How dare you two? No, it's she had very little character development, so I didn't enjoy or get attached to Papika. She was always spontaneous, always not thinking, and her attachments were within seconds to not only our other main character, but everything in her life.
Mm-hmm. All amazing.
And yep. I get that to a point, but there's these two characters are supposed to be our superheroes in this alternate dimension, and she is the epitome of airhead, and I didn't find that endearing.
I'll say I usually love the ditzy airhead character. I've been watching a lot of RWBY Ruby, and there's Nora, who's the ditz super strength, and she's hilarious. I love that character. I love those types of characters.
Which color is that? Is that yellow?
She's not in the main team. She's the second team.
Okay.
Yeah.
B team.
I know who she is. She's the Hammer Girl.
Yeah, she's the Hammer Girl. Great character. She's hilarious.
Yep.
I did not enjoy Papika at all. I found her overly aggressive with her attachments, and that bugged me, especially the way Coconut just let it kind of happen. It was like, you need to
like
step
bullying.
back like one step.
She's following her around school when Coconuts literally trying to run from her, and she's just like, "Come back, let me be with you."
And I got really attached to her rival character, and so I this is my least favorite character probably of the whole anime that mattered. I just didn't enjoy her very much and what she brought to the anime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were actually a couple of scenes where Coconut even says, "Get back, you're too close," and like shoves her. And yeah, I totally agree with that. Yep. I think that the show was trying to use her to present that sort of imbecilic spontaneity, and I think by itself that would have been great. The only thing that I found super annoying was the intrusive nature, just this lack of boundaries and personal space.
I will say the one exception is I kind of enjoyed her character when she was an adult. When we get the flashbacks to when she was an adult, I kind of enjoyed the adult version of her because she was still a little spontaneous, still a little wacky, but she was a lot more grounded. And then I was like, oh, I could get used to that character.
I'd agree with that.
I did think that because when we got the flashback, it started when she was young in history. And I think that when she was young, she still kind of acted like this, which surprised me.
Yeah, no, I when her hair was short. Her hair was short, that's when I was like, oh, that's actually a good character.
I actually was wondering if she was the kind of character that was not a real person, but was part of this pure illusion that we're going to talk about. And for a long time, that was what I was considering, was that she was fictitious. But didn't turn out that way.
Yeah. You did call some
I called evil Granny. I called evil Granny.
We'll
wheelchairs,
talk about
man.
when we get there.
Wheelchairs.
Let's talk about illusion, because that's where the girls go. They get sucked up into this hole in the ground. They're actually dragged in by the robot, and they're taken to like this snow world, and they're stuck there, and the snow is sweet.
Yep.
And there's like a very Miyazaki feeling to it. There's these giant creatures that roam through the forest. They have kind of this adventure where Pika almost dies, and Coconut transforms and saves her, and then they come back, and they don't really explain this illusion world, pure illusion, very well. So what was your guys' interpretation of it?
How'd they get there?
Oh, that was
how
Buchan.
do they get there? There doesn't seem any consistency. It just like happens.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, is like Buchan can't get them there, but somehow he's always there when they need to travel.
Right.
Like, it's super weird because it's supposed to be like later Papika says only together can we reach pure illusion, right? And it's supposed to have something to do with the amorphous crystal, but then later we're told, oh no, it's because of her lineage. And so did Coconut want to go there? Like,
is she creating these worlds?
Yeah.
No, because later we find out that they were all created by
Mimi.
Person.
Yeah. Are the fragments Mimi?
That's the impression I had.
What are the fragments?
The fragments are like crystallized remains of
like
the
they're
dead
her
woman.
soul or something that they're collecting.
Yeah, but why does it matter if they exit pure illusion?
Well, you need to bring them together.
Well, I think if you stay there, you can stay there forever. Because maybe they thought they could bring Mimi back and continue their research.
That's not what these two groups were trying to do, though.
That group was.
What was Flip Flap trying to do? That I don't know.
They never explained what they were trying to do.
The cult's trying to.
I think Salt was.
Find out the cult is led by a crazy person who wants the illusion world to take over everything.
Yeah, I think Salt was trying to do the same thing, but not for the same purposes. I think he wanted to try to bring the amorphous crystals together to bring back the amorphous child Mimi as well, but because of his history with her.
That makes sense, but they could have said that.
But they did.
Exactly.
They did say all the crystals got out and nothing happened
until they were all put together.
They weren't
in
together
one
yet. They only came together when Kokona flipped out in that last bit.
Right, but then they all came together, and then
Mimi showed up.
Mimi showed up, possessed her daughter.
Okay. Oh, twist!
It's weird. It's weird.
That's an understatement. Anyways, let's keep going.
We're
You were asking about.
Okay,
You're
guys,
asking about pure illusion. Is
Yeah. How do you get there?
well, I think that she got there because of the crystal. Like honestly,
Like, does she open a portal? Because
Yeah.
it's never shown.
the black
It shows
ink.
it shows the it shows the portal going out.
Uh-huh.
But in most cases, it's like I'm in a box, I hold my friend's hand, and then we're there.
let's list the ways you get there. You can get there by a
Magic.
box. You can get there by a random hole in the ground. You can get there by a hole in the sky. You can get there by a vacuum that comes out from a statue.
Yep.
What?
Yep. Which that's why I actually think your theory is very interesting, Jason, because that statue and the vacuum is a huge contender for the possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you were also asking, Troy, you asked like what my thoughts on pure illusion were. I think pure illusion is the best thing that this anime offers because it's fascinating to me. It's essentially, I get the impression that it is dimensions that don't have the same physics that ours do. And so there's going to be rules that you have to deal with in each one that's going to be unrelatable to you under your normal circumstances and normal thought process.
Okay, you're describing properties of it. You haven't told me what it is yet.
Well, Mimi says that it is worlds she's created for her daughter.
See,
So it's forced group hallucinations.
I don't know if I'd call it hallucinations because if
like
you can be harmed, it's real dimensions. It's like, think of Q in Star Trek. If you're so powerful that you can make pocket dimensions and put people in them, then I think that's what Mimi's doing.
Pure illusion
are I got.
Alternate dimensions, alternate realities.
It's the impression I got, yeah.
So my theory is that Kokona is the one really making these worlds through Mimi's power. Because it seemed like every world addressed whatever issue she needed to get over.
and something to support that. The bad guys said that the amorphous fragment always shows up where those two end up. But to the counter of that, the other group has been searching for these fragments much longer than Kokona's been visiting pure illusions.
It's true. They already have a bunch.
So these worlds exist without Kokona needing to be there.
Well, I mean, if you think about the fact that a bit of Mimi is in each one, because that's what the crystals are, the amorphous crystals are parts of her. So in order for those crystals to be in these worlds, then they exist. She's there. I also remember that they said that the crystals are attracted to these two girls when they're together, Papika and Kokona. And so I think you're totally right that the worlds are probably drawn to her in whatever time of need to support her, because we see later how much Mimi wants to help her daughter.
Why did she make the desert world?
Okay,
we need to keep going with the story though.
Yeah.
I want to point out something at the end of this episode. They're arguing. They got the crystal. She's like, I don't want to do this with you. Don't ask me to do this again. And then she's suddenly abducted. Who did that?
Mm-hmm. That was the Crazies, the Salt's dad. It's that other organization that has.
I call them
the
the cult.
And
they became
the cult.
They abducted her, took the crystal, and then put her in her. And then they put her in her bed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Evil grandma.
Evil grandpa.
Was that the same person?
Their faces looked exactly
they looked
the same.
So similar.
But hold on.
Oh.
After the destruction of the house, Grandma's in parts because she's a robot.
She was in parts?
A robot?
You didn't see that?
Well, there was a ton of robots already in the room.
No. There was one in Grandma's clothes, and it was a robot.
Oh my god.
This anime cheese.
See, this is like one of the first shows that I didn't care to turn back and look at anything. So I didn't rewind.
Okay, let's go to the next episode. So basically Papika ends up going to school with her, even though she's like, no, I don't want to be your friend. We're not doing this. And then there's an incident where she also brought her bunny Lutzel or Lutzel. Look, we're never gonna agree on that name. So at the end of the school day or some point in the school day, a vacuum comes up out of a statue and sucks the rabbit in. They look inside the vacuum, and they end up inside the vacuum. They end up in pure illusion. And it's a world where they turn into bunny girls. And there's a giant mountain that's actually a vacuum. And
Okay,
they have
there's a really weirdness to this episode where there's this weird desire to chew on things because they're rabbits.
That are hard.
Rabbits have to chew on things or their teeth
hard.
grow. That was the
I
whole
know.
point. Their teeth are growing on them.
I know,
they have
but
to chew.
I know, but come on. I mean, she's like standing next to this object and she's salivating and she keeps saying,
it's so hard.
It's so hard. And then she starts chewing on it. It's like, come on. And then she's also talking about how like, oh, I've got all this hair everywhere. And their skirts are lifted by all the hair. And so like you get these shots where normally they'd be like, you know, panty shot fan service, right? Instead it's like rabbit bush. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But I did see one interesting thing in this. There was one, besides it's my favorite scene. This part isn't, but this episode has my favorite scene. The one interesting thing is that Paprika has no form when she's first encountered by Kokona in this. Paprika is like formless gelatin. And I wondered,
runs into Kokona that her
yes,
takes
and then
place.
What does she do? She duplicates Kokona, retaining only her own individuality, but duplicating Kokona's rabbit attributes. Right? Why wasn't she something else? Right? You could argue that it's a rabbit dimension, but I see bacteria everywhere. I don't see bunny ears and tails everywhere.
Yeah, I thought the rabbit thing only came because the Uexel being sucked in there.
Yeah, and I think that it was what was on Kokona's mind, and so she's got to find her bunny, and so she turns into one. But I thought that might have been metaphor for Paprika not really having an identity and kind of interposing from whatever she's seeing on Kokona.
So I just sent
Yes.
Troy a picture
Grandma's
of Grandma's remains.
Oh, that totally is Grandma.
Yeah. And Grandma's
Evil
robot
Grandma. Oh, and look, Grandma's wheelchair.
is busted.
Yeah.
Anyways, this was... I was a little disappointed that this was the second episode because you are thrown into this bucket of just visual
Psychedelics.
gobbledygook.
Mhm.
And I told Troy, I was like, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster with my vision obstructed. Like, it's a wild ride. Visuals are great. I have no idea what's going on. And nor is any of it explained or visually story told for what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually, this was the episode that I started getting really angry at Jeremy.
I'm going to sum up the rest of the episode real quick, but Jeremy, what was your favorite scene here?
My favorite scene was the introduction of Uexel the bunny as an awesome in a trench coat, green furry bunny man who's got like the best face I've seen ever on an anthropomorphic bunny man. That was awesome. And he gets trapped and he keeps giving these expressions of like, yep, we're going to die. It was great. He's trying to pry the bars open with his new arms, right? Because he's a humanoid, not a rabbit anymore. And so she starts biting the cage, and he's like, "Oh, duh, of course." As a bunny, I should know that. That was my favorite bit of seeing this character.
That was good. This is the first episode where we see Paprika transform. Because she saves Uexel and Kokona from the evil vacuum cages.
Did we talk about Kokona's transformation?
Yeah, well,
Just mentioned it.
She went Super Saiyan and grew long hair.
Yeah. Although I did think that like the manner in which they transformed was a fantastic parody of like the old Sailor Moon and stuff. I cracked up.
Later. Like this transformation was very Dragon Ball Z-esque to me. Or the first one, first episode. This one,
this was just like spinny. Yeah.
And the whole point is this teaches Paprika that like these adventures have consequences and that they can't just be reckless.
There was one weird thing here too, is Paprika left Kokona behind and went up to find the crystal without her. Like, she didn't even think of Kokona or care about her in that scene. Kokona is saying, Paprika, where did you go? Where did you go? And then she gets lost and eventually gets sucked into that horrible place where she's going to be killed. This, to me, undermined the entire concept of Paprika being so infatuated with Kokona. Instead, I got the idea that Paprika was infatuated with the amorphous crystal, and that's what she was smelling when she leaned in and started smelling Kokona and says, oh, you smell nice. And then later we hear that she says that you smell like the crystals, and I like the smell of the crystals. And then in this, how she disappeared off to find the crystal, leaving Kokona behind. I thought, oh, I see where this is going. They got me. All right. But I think if they had gone with that, I would have been really interested, because I've been like, oh, good twist.
There is a theme running through of what is Paprika's, what's important to her. Is it this adventure? Is it these crystals? Is it Mimi? Is it Kokona? And Kokona keeps questioning her about it later. So it could have just been setting that up. But yeah, it is kind of interesting that she made that choice. When they get back, Kokona agrees to do this with her, and they go to the Flip Flap group. This includes Dr. Salt, Sayuri, and Dr. Hidaka. Dr. Salt is the leader. Sayuri is like the operator. And Dr. Hidaka is the engineer, scientist.
From the Matrix.
Yeah, he's the who has a great scene in this anime where he finally takes off his glasses and he's freaking beautiful. And he's just like, it's...
yeah.
What did you guys think of these three characters as a whole? Or individually? I'm just kind of bringing them up at the same time because they're that big a deal. Except for
Salt was aloof for most of the anime. Sayuri, she didn't even need to be there. And Hidaka I was wanting to lean on him as you would for James Bond, you would lean on Q. I felt like he was going to give the disposition, or we were going to see something on his monitors, or he was going to say something that would give Pure Illusion some sort of sense or focus, or some sort of sci-fi techno mumbo jumbo that I could wrap my claws around to make some sense of this. No, he's just crazy doctor.
He's always laughing at something on the screen, but never matters.
I think he's laughing at us. I really think he's laughing at us that we're watching this.
It also super frustrating me. They didn't give his name for most of the anime, and when they give his name, they act like it's a big deal, like it was a plot twist, but there was no plot twist. At least not that I caught.
I didn't see one.
They gave his name, and I was like, did I miss something? Did we already hear that name and it was important? No,
I don't remember it.
Yeah. He was more comic relief than he was scientist. So
Salt, I really disliked, and then he became more interesting. Even though, as a spoiler, as a father, I completely disagree with everything he stood for. So I don't like him as a character, but at least he was interesting and entertaining. I guess I'll give him that.
I did not like Salt for the first 2/3, but I feel exactly the same way as you guys do about him in the last part. As far as the other two characters go, I do think there was a little tiny bit of presence for the operator girl in that, Mimi said, promise me I'll always be your number one to Salt later. And I was like, oh, that's obviously a reference to this girl. But you are right that it was so minute that there was nothing where she was necessary or contributed to any substantial part of the story. So all three of these characters to me just seemed boring almost the entire time.
Yeah, I kept waiting for Hidaka to be more important than he ever was.
Yeah.
Even when they're like, hey, do a thing, and he's like setting up, I'm like, oh, he's going to have the moment where he preps something and it'll save the day, and that never really happened.
I mean, even like
line in the entire anime, but that's it.
And why was impotence so important?
Oh, that's anime stuff. You gotta have your souls in sync.
But why?
There's so many animes where there's partners.
Impedance.
Something.
Impedance, right?
Oh. I was wondering because I was like, that's weird to be saying to little girls.
I was trying to figure out where. Oh, okay, impedance. Yeah.
Okay. Impedance. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
All right, so that episode ends with them being locked.
That was awkward.
Boxes.
That was great.
And then the next episode starts with Pika wandering the desert. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I said this story jumps around, the plot jumps. I thought I missed an episode. I thought I missed like the intro. I'm like, what happened? We were in a box. I thought we were running a test. And suddenly we're in a desert world. How?
Right.
We find out that the two main characters have gotten separated because they didn't hold hands or because they're...
And for how long? Like,
it seemed like years. I mean, the way that...
It makes it sound like it's been like weeks or months.
Oh, at least, or longer, because Paprika's like, I've been looking for you for ages, but this is Paprika, so maybe it was like an hour. I don't know.
It could have been days. Because from the last one, they stayed one day.
Where'd she get that outfit? Like, that looked like pieced together Mad Max gear. How long did she spend finding that stuff?
So she wanders on this village that like has precious water, and the village doesn't trust her except for one cute little village girl who shows her around. And then these evil pirates attack, and Paprika like jumps in the fight and she fights them. But the leader of the pirates is Coconut, wearing an Ultron mask, cosplaying as Pinhead. That's the best description of it.
So to be fair, Coconut has a brilliant scene right before that. Like they're arguing over the water because the raiders come and they're like, "Give us all your water and food." And like,
the raiders are like pouring it in their crotch.
And it's like he pulls out this crossbow and he's going to shoot like one of the townspeople. And he's like, now you have one less mouth to feed. And Coconut caught it
Paprika
caught it while she's bound, and it just breaks the crossbolt. Like that was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, that was.
I actually liked this episode. Like I said, the set pieces are really cool. The world's parts are very cool because this has a very Dragon Ball Z feel to it. Like, the biggest pirate comes at her and she just whoops them really easily. And then Coconut comes down and they start battling and they're like charged up, energy flowing off of them, and they're going around having a really good fight.
Yeah.
And then she headbutts the mask on Coconut to break it off. And then we get a flashback of how that got on there, and it was this. I call her the evil plant lady because I thought she had like leaves coming off of her. Jason didn't agree. He saw tentacles, and when you see anime, tentacles is an easy thing to assume. I'll give him that.
I mean, if the robot's got tentacles, why not the lady?
But she's like black skin and blonde hair, and she runs like an S&M club that Coconut wandered into somehow, and then got the mask put on her, and then she led those pirates, and it's not really explained.
Nope.
And then she comes out of like her little carriage thing with guns, which was pretty funny. It's like she starts shooting buildings, and
she was the little girl that showed Paprika around. She was in the town. She was in disguise. She starts fighting with Coconut, and then Paprika goes and eats a giant potato, or what's called a potato, and gets super strong, and they do their flip-flapping transformations. This is like the first true transformations we've seen from both of them. They get their Sailor Moon outfits with the wings, and what is Paprika's like ultimate shield and Coconut's ultimate blade?
Her scissors, which look remarkably like Kill a Kill.
Really close to scissors. Like,
they were scissors. They're scissors, and then they turn into a gun later.
So yeah, they fight the girl who turns into a giant monster. Then they make a giant gun out of their armor, and they have a beam battle. They win, but the monster doesn't die. And then I said another magic girl in my notes, and I realized no, later that's not a magic girl, just a girl with tech. It's Yayaka Yayaka. Yayaka. She shows up and kills the monster. This was a character we'd already kind of been introduced to, but I was saving. She's
not alone, of course.
Yeah, she has the twins with her, but she's Kokono's Kokona's best friend. And she is also collecting these fragments, but for the other team. And this is when we find out about her. And she's been going around up until this point, like eyeballing Papika, like, why are you hanging out with my best friend? You know, who are you coming into our lives? What do you guys think of her?
I liked her in the same way I liked Kokona. I thought she had some decent character development throughout the anime. She was stalwart and always knew what to do, but never let feeling come in or rule her actions. She was. I liked her all right. I think I would rate her the same as Kokona if I kind of just remove her from the anime and as a character. Before we go too far, though, there is a really cool scene because I love this villain. This villain's pretty great. She has Kokona and in like bound up, and she starts messing with her like
her mind.
Yeah. She starts going like, you know, you're an empty shell.
Yeah, she calls her empty, which is very true.
Yeah,
for the character.
And she goes, the mask didn't make you attack anyone. It just enhances your feelings and emotions and your desires.
So it's basically alcohol.
You wanted to attack Papika, but she was trying to mess with her, and it was
her beer hat.
it was a nice insight into Kokona's character too. Of that was when I was like, oh, that's why she's doing all this stupid stuff so easily. She's an empty vessel, lost on the wind.
Of course, I believe that this point was completely shattered later because Papika says, "You're not just an empty vessel. That's why I love you." It's like, come on. You don't just tell somebody they're not, and then suddenly they're not. They have to learn not to be. That's why I hate emotional anime.
Ayaka, what did you think of her?
I liked Ayaka. I think that as far as my non-rabbit characters go, she's my favorite. Yeah, she's an interesting character. I liked the way that she had to deal with the dilemma of her personal survival and performing what she has always been told is the most important thing to do, versus helping her friend, someone that she has grown very fond of, and how she really does waver in that. But I never got the impression that it was as shallow of a wavering as either Kokona or Papika's behavior sometimes was. Everything seemed to have very, very good reason for her behavior.
Yeah,
when she would change minds. Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%. She's my favorite character in the whole thing. And the fact that, like you said, her entire self-worth comes from two things. One is getting these gems because that lets her stay alive, and that's her purpose in life. But also the second one is her friendship with Kokona, and now these two things are clashing against each other, and she's constantly having to choose. And it doesn't help that she has these twin psychopaths following her everywhere, monitoring her, and always is she getting soft? Is she losing her mind? She kept saying the quote, "My frame of mind is totally different from yours."
Yeah, my mindset.
Yeah, she said it to everybody.
She just saying that I'm focused or I'm dedicated. I didn't understand why she was saying that, so I'm asking for some help here.
Oh, okay. No, later in the anime, the other group starts talking about her mindset and if she has the proper mindset. So basically, are you on task? Are you focused for furthering the goals of this organization? But also, are you getting soft? Are you allowing others to sway your judgments? Because this. Well, we find out Kokona has one of these fragments in her, and it's you're eventually going to have to get it from her. You don't care how you do it, and your mindset better be correct. And so I think that's one of the reasons she kept saying that, not to prove a point, but I think it was more to convince herself, because I don't think she was convinced of it.
Yeah, initially she was constantly saying it to Kokona and Paprika, and there was a pivotal moment in her character where she changes her mind, and then she says it to the twins. And I think that really lends itself to what you were describing there, that, I'm not like you, weak, pathetic, magical girls. And then later, I am actually, I do value friendship more than anything else, apparently. I am not like you two psychopaths.
All right, let's keep going. The next episode was my least favorite episode of the whole thing. This is the Big Island episode.
Completely out of place.
Oh, God, yeah. I had to look at your notes to figure out what this was.
To prevent them from being separated again, they need them to bond more. So like, hey, you guys need to live together, eat the same foods, dress the same. And the anime starts off that way. They have like a sleepover at Papika's pipe. That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, it is. that was the scene I was referring to earlier, and I loved the way she decked it out because I didn't expect that. I didn't even think of like where are they going to stay at since Kokona's going to someone's place.
Why isn't she allowed to stay at Flip Flap?
Exactly. Like, I mean, I don't know. That's so weird.
Even Kokona expected it. Like, why aren't we going to Flip Flap?
Yeah. But I love the way that she had like set that pipe up. It's got like plant leaves coming out one side. It's chock full of
umbrella on the top.
Umbrella on the top. It's like that's pretty funny. And
and it had a nice payoff later in one of the later episodes. This decoration that's used under the pipe.
And dinner was they had to go out and scavenge.
Yep.
Like literally in the woods.
I don't want to talk about this episode too much. You guys are talking about it way too much.
This was almost like if every episode is kind of a taste of a genre, right? Like off the cutting room floor of other anime that are better. This is like the throwaway piece of a slice of life anime, I think.
Anyways, keep going.
The next day, they end up stuck on an island, and so they have to spend a night on an island. And Kokona has a rough time with it, and Pika does not. And then the next day, they build a raft and go home. Because whatever.
Actually, no, they don't. They don't wind up going home.
No, they're on their way home.
I was going to say they get sucked up. Oh, were you?
Just let me.
Let's hurry up, then. Let's get this done with.
They get sucked up into a pipe.
Not a pipe.
Whatever. I don't even care anymore. Next episode. My favorite episode. That'll make me feel better.
Okay, good.
This is my favorite episode. They they're sent on a mission, but this is the episode where they're like, oh yeah, you guys have failed the last 3 missions, and they weren't referring to what we've seen so far. But they're sent on another mission, so another big plot jump. But they're sent on the best mission. Because this is like a haunted story. They go to a haunted school. Yayaka is already there, but she's being all mysterious about it.
I don't know if you
they
can call it
around the school exploring, and they find these girls with like these smudged faces.
Yeah.
And
greetings.
They only say greetings, and it's
spelled wrong.
It's spelled
like a robot.
Weird on the dub, but it comes out like
greetings.
Yeah, like a broken computer or broken speaker trying to speak. It's very eerie. They end up running away. They go out into this blood rain that soaks them, and they get knocked out because it's scary.
Yeah, frightening.
The creepy girls bring them back in and give them clean clothes, and they end up following these girls through their daily routine, which is actually really nice. These girls are really nice. And that night they get a room to stay in, and there's a creepy doll looking at them.
I love the doll.
They turn the creepy doll's head away. The next morning they wake up and the doll is looking at them again. And they repeat. They go through this girl's day again. They come to bed. They turn the doll's head. They go to bed. Wake up. It's looking at them again. And they repeat. And they repeat. They're caught in a time loop. Who doesn't love a time loop?
Not only that, but this world specifically, we learned that pure illusion influences people when they go to the different worlds. And we got to see it physically portrayed in the bunny, right? Like that pure illusion world physically altered her cosmetically, physiologically. And in this one, Buchan starts to eventually he becomes corrupted and gets the black smudges on his face and starts saying greetings. But even prior to that, he displays like the double onk and stuff. And then there's a point where Yayaka shows up and she's getting close to Kokona, and she comments, she's like, why are you getting all hot and heavy? What are you doing? Don't you realize pure illusion's influencing you? And I was like, I don't know what's going on right now. This is so weird. Is this a horror dimension, or like what's going on?
It had quite a few neat horror elements, and it had a decent idea that was executed poorly and did not come off as scary.
Yeah, it seemed like they were trying to do too much in that dimension. Like, so let it be horror.
So the creepy girls accepting them into their daily routine, and then the loop, all had really strong potential. And then they just went, oh, no, we're actually flip-flappers. We need to go find the crystal thing. Like, they could have made it, like, there was a really, really awesome creepy moment where they're like, they find out the bell rings 11 times, and then on the 12th time, it resets the world. And they find this door and in the wall, and it only opens during the ringing of the bell, which is like at the end of the cycle. And as they're trying to open it, this wall of these girls with the smudged faces are like coming down the hallway, and then they jump. That was awesome. And then the next time they did it, they didn't jump. And I was like, what? Come on, make it suspenseful. Make it feel. And then all of a sudden, like, you're looking at the side of the building and the windows, and they're all like, every window is like filled with them. And I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah, and they're going like this, bouncing in the windows.
Yeah, they're like vibrating.
That was creepy. That was genuinely creepy.
Yeah, I just enjoyed that they brought a very different atmosphere than what we'd had so far. It caught me off guard. I did not expect it. I wasn't expecting a true horror anime, but I thought it was scarier than anything we saw in Occultic 9.
I would agree with that. I agree with that.
But yeah, then after they find the secret room and they race to the clock tower against Yayaka and the twins, and they have this big magical girl battle on this clock tower, which ends with Kokona pointing at her a giant hammer and smacking the bell to create the 12th ring to get the gem.
Which was a very interesting epiphany she had. I was shocked that she came to that conclusion. It was the right one, but that was amazing to me that she thought that.
We get to see the twins' power here, and this is kind of the better introduction of the twins. We find out later the names are Toto and Yaya. But what did you guys think of these characters?
Psychotic sociopaths that were there as a constant threat and didn't really have any relevance until the last 3 episodes.
I think I liked them as entertaining counterpoints to everybody else's overexuberance. I liked that. But I also kind of liked how at the very end there was that switch where all of a sudden the psychopath has to deal with something they value being taken away, and suddenly they're forced to come to the conclusion that maybe they were wrong and start breaking the rules that they held so dear. We never see if that really turns into anything more broad in their life, but at least in that moment you got to see, oh, okay, so there is something to sympathize with.
I think that's what bugged me most about them. I really liked them in this anime, and I liked that they were this constant threat to Yayaka if she ever switched her allegiance or even thought about being nice to her friend. So yeah, my big problem with them is they don't pay off at the end. They kind of have a scene where the girl is nice to another person, and they have the kind of rebellion against the evil masters who are already dying anyway. But I really thought there would be a bigger payoff, like because we were nice to these twins, because they realized that there was value, that's going to help in the final battle, and it didn't.
Right.
That really bugged me because I kind of got invested in them. I loved how they were robotic. I loved the way they talked to each other. Bleeding, wound reopened. I'm okay. That was really cool, and they had a really good dynamic between them. And then again, these are just characters that didn't matter to the story in the end.
Yeah,
and that's why really disappointing.
And they no growth. I mean, a little bit at the end, but yeah, I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
They could have not been there and it would have been fine.
Jason has a cat and I'm not distracted at all.
Well, he keeps jumping up on my keyboard and I'm just like, you little...
He's going to shut down the hangout session.
Right.
In this episode, there's a great reference to The Shining, where Buchan comes around the corner and the two twins are standing there, which echoes the scene from The Shining where the kid comes around with the what's it called, tricycle, and the ghost twins are standing in front of him. I was like, oh yeah, perfect place to put that. Like Jason had said, there's a ton of anime and pop culture references peppered throughout this. It's fun. That was one of the good things about it, is finding those.
Mm-hmm. I think that Papika's wings, like when she turns into her transformed form, I'm sure that comes from another anime, just like the scissors come from Kill la Kill. I just don't know which one it is. I know that comes from one. I know I've seen it. Can't remember though.
It's a total Sailor Moon transformation, though.
Oh yeah.
The next episode, so we get a scene of the girls visiting a senpai in the school who's an art student. We've seen her a couple times, and she's not really important to the plot except for in this episode.
I didn't.
Let me guess. You're going to say there's absolutely no reason for this entire episode, right?
There is.
I totally agree. Well, there is, but it's so minor. It's just to show why Mimi has two personalities. That's basically it.
And to show that there is consequences to pure illusion, and that there's a different
affecting the real
pure
world.
Illusion that's even more dangerous.
The Hellgate.
This episode pissed me off because of that extra portal. Where
the Hellgate.
it's not explained, obviously. I mean, what is in this anime? But it has consequences to the real world.
Yep.
And you can change time.
Yeah.
Events,
This allows time travel, and this blew away all confidence I had in some sort of congruent storytelling, because anyways.
But again, so they end up in this portal and they end up living someone else's life.
Well, what was with the thing of switch with me? Why did they keep going into this room and then like one of them is sitting there drawing?
I don't know, but I loved it. I thought it was creepy as heck, and I loved it. Actually.
I thought it was creepy too, but there was no context.
Okay, I got a little bit of a context for it. I got a little bit of explanation for it, which was they were reliving the life of one person, and one person can only occupy the mental space of one person at a time, so they would have to switch. And one would go into a state of remission while the other would be in a state of action. And that's the only thing I got.
I saw it as one person's living the good part of that person's life, and one was living the bad part. Whoever was in the blue, because there's a great color shading thing going on where there's this like orangish yellow for the character who's having happiness in this life, and then a blue for whoever's experiencing the sadness of this life, because this character has a bad home life but has this great aunt that she goes and visits that she loves hanging out with, and they both want to be with the aunt, and so they're like, hey, I want to go see the auntie, switch with me. They're both these little girls, and but I really, again, there's another part where I just love this separately, apart from the rest of the story not making sense how they got here or why can they go here. I actually really enjoyed this backstory. This is one of the parts I got into the emotion. This was a really deep story about, losing someone who's older, and how a child doesn't really deal with that well. And there's just some really nice stuff there. And then again, that switch with me. I don't want to be in the sad part of life. I want to be in the happy part of life. I was really into that storyline.
It felt like
you're right.
I felt like one of them would live the life for so long, hit a really, really sad emotional wall, and then go switch. And then the other one would pick up and then go for a while, hit an emotional wall, and switch. Like they could only take so much, and then they're like, okay, I'm done. I will agree tentatively with it was a decent episode. Problem is, it was a decent episode about a side character that didn't matter.
Right. That's 100% true. Yeah. At the end, I was frustrated. In the moment, I was enjoying it.
I would agree with that.
I kind of see it as a tutorial, right? If you're playing a game and you get a tutorial, a lot of times tutorial only matters to teach you the mechanics. The part of the story in the tutorial is probably throwaway because most people can skip it, so they don't have to play the tutorial if they know how to play the game.
Yeah, this to me I saw as like set up for when we get that box that people can use.
But not halfway through the freaking anime.
That's one of the reasons I don't like it.
How do I sum this up? Say the auntie gets Alzheimer's and it freaks out. Mostly we only see Kokona's experience as the character Iro that she's being. And when jeez. I want to throw my book at you, but that's my computer monitor and I need that. When she confronts her auntie and their auntie doesn't remember her name, it freaks her out. And she actually, there's a really touching scene where she goes back to Pika in the room where they wait, and she's like, "Switch with me," and they both start crying and they hold each other because they have to share that anguish. They get kicked out of the world, lose the gem that they had already earned, and they decide, let's go back in, let's go fix that. And they do. They go inside. They go back to Auntie. Except for now, it's all metaphysical and crystal, and I don't know why. I know. And they tell Auntie their name, and then Auntie remembers them, and everything's better. La 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 la.
It's because they got a flashback of Auntie goes, "If I forget your name, right, please reintroduce yourself to me.
Just tell me who you are." Yeah. The important thing, though, is when they go back to the real world, that art student who swore she would never paint her nails because she has not earned it yet, and went through all these flashbacks with the auntie. That was a big thing, that you had to be a kind young woman or a mature woman to paint your nails.
I think it was just because it reminded her of the granny, but
yeah. And she said not yet. She said, "I'm not ready yet." But anyway, they get there and she's painted her nails, and then the next episode starts with her like throwing out her art like she doesn't care. And this is when Coconut starts to kind of freak out, like, we changed a person, a person that I liked as a friend, and we kind of ruined her.
Or made her for the better, one of the two.
But we don't know which yet.
Or ever.
She really doesn't matter.
But does that mean she never got that closure with her auntie? I would think the closure would be more important.
They never tell us. Yeah. They seem to only imply it. And like you say, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, it never matters.
Let's move on.
Yeah. So they go to the next world. They're arguing and they're like, we probably shouldn't send them. Send them anyway.
Good old Iriku, or whatever his name is.
So
pink-haired guy.
Hidaka.
Yeah, this is the world with too many papikas. So Coconuts in this world and no one else is there. She thinks he's back in the real world. Things didn't go right. She goes home, and Papika's there as her little sister. And they do little sister activities, and then she disappears. And Coconut's like, "What is going on?" Why are you calling me, big sis? I don't understand what's going on. She goes to school the next day, and Papika's there as the boy behind her teases her. And we go throughout this entire multiple days of meeting these different forms of Papika, that none of them are the real thing. And it ends with one where they're like in a love hotel, and Papika is.
They're both in lacy
negligee, and they're talking about love and stuff. To me, this was saying it's Coconut is trying to figure out what is Papika to me, and going through, is she the annoying kid in my class? Is she the creepy girl that's wandering the halls? Is she the cute boy? Is she the cute girl that I love? Is she my little sister? What is she? So again, this is another reason why I think these worlds are made by Coconut, because this seemed really specific to what she's going through right now.
Yeah, it did.
It was at first it was a really creepy episode. I was like really digging it. Nobody there. And then when Papika kept popping up too frequently as different people, it lost me. When she first came and then disappeared, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna do an episode right," and then they just.
I did think that
end with emotions.
Yeah, I did think that, like you say, Troy, that maybe she was looking at the very facets of what Papika might have been to her. Like, where does she stand in her life? I kind of got the impression by the end of it that she was all of those people.
How did she get into this world?
Papika or Kokona?
Kokona.
They were sent there by Flip. They were put in the boxes, and when Kokona wakes up, she thinks, "Oh, it didn't work, and I went home."
Yeah, I'm home.
Yeah, doesn't realize that it actually is an illusion the whole time.
Okay.
And oddly enough, Papika's actually been trying to find her, so that's how we know that these were all illusions of Kokona's mind.
Right, which is a really weird scene because Kokona's sitting on the riverbank. She's been searching for her. She decided, I'm gonna go find the real one, and the ground falls beneath her for no reason. Like a black hole opens up underneath her for no reason. And I thought, like, oh, is this gonna be another gate? It wasn't. And Papika flies in with the rocket pipe, and that's what I meant when I said the decoration comes back, because the rocket pipe has like the umbrella, but now it's a canopy. And, I thought it was cool, but Papika saves her.
But Yayaka and the twins
are there.
Pass her by.
They run by like, hey, we're gonna go get the thing. Okay, bye.
Well, they don't even talk to her. They're just like, and that means they've been there the whole time with her. And she
doing something else.
Yeah, she hasn't run into him until now. And she's known it's been an illusion ever since Papika was popping in and out. Why?
She never saw him.
Why did she just continue to live these days with these illusions of Papika?
Because Kokona is a pushover. Kokona has no backbone. She just does whatever the wind or the bullies blow.
But never. It's not worth it. Let's keep going.
That's my biggest complaint about her character is how bad it is for that. But Jeremy makes sense.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Hey, yay!
I need help with the end of this episode, though, guys. They go to another world. It's a field full of flowers, which comes back into play later. What the field full of flowers are. In this world, there is a man with a baseball hat and a laptop hiding behind a tree.
Dr. Salt.
Dr. Salt went with them? Or is this a version of Dr. Salt that's in the illusion world?
I have no idea why he's there or how he got there, but that's him.
I was like, oh, the next episode will deal with this mystery. Hey, no it doesn't.
We get another character instead.
Actually, I really enjoyed the next episode.
I did too. I did too.
So, let's go ahead and go into that. What starts this one? Oh, they're at the pool. That's right. This is when they're swimming in the pool, and then they fall through because they have to spend this entire episode in their swimsuits because anime. But it's a futuristic city that's all been built by one man.
One tiny man.
A whole world, a small world covered in a city.
It looks like a tiny version of Coruscant.
But neon. Everything's neon.
Yep.
It reminded me of what's that one game where you've got the blade that's like a computer chip?
Are you talking about Tron?
No, Hyper
Light Drifter?
Yes. Maybe? No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. Anyways, never mind. Let's keep
going. Look. There's evil pigeons.
Which reminded me of Gantz.
Yeah,
there's
I can see
Birdman
that.
and Gantz.
There's a frog too?
Yeah, there's a frog too.
They're regenerating anthropomorphic pigeons.
Which also reminded me of Gantz.
So both groups, fight these things and then they get separated again. They go looking for things. Kokona and Papika meet this man and he's like, you can call me all these things. They're like, okay, we'll call you Pops. He's like, yeah, that works. And he's tiny compared to them. He comes up to their waist. One thing I have a problem with this anime is they do not show age with their art. This man looks the same age as them, but with white spiky hair. And apparently he's an old man. There's no wrinkles drawn. There's nothing. And that's when I was like, wait, how old is Salt? Because that becomes important when I was trying to figure out connections. And I realized this anime is not giving me clues. A minor complaint. Okay, fair enough. I'm nitpicking.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd call it minor. That's a pretty rough one.
Just throw it on the pile.
Oh no, Jeremy agreed with me. I take it back.
I love the Voltron / Gurren Lagann theme that goes on.
Totally.
Though.
And Transformers. They threw in just a little Transformers.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because a giant monster attacks, and the two teams they hide with this doctor or Pops, and he's like, I have a thing to help you. and they basically get Voltron vehicles, a tank and a jet, and then they combine to a robot. I mean, you can see where it's going a million miles away. It's like, oh yeah, we're doing a Voltron episode.
I did like also how small the cabin was because it was built for his people, right? Maybe just for him. I don't know, why did he build two that could make use of magic girls that could
transform? Living people inside illusionary worlds that have like histories and stuff. Like, I built all
like
these cities.
This is my real world. But like, I loved how the two of them were inside of this canopy, and they're like this, and they've got the controls, like this. It's a podcast. They're like crammed in there, and they can barely move, and the controls are intruding like right next to their head, or right.
And the camera sits right behind them, so you can see their butts.
The control is hilarious because he sticks them in these boxes that are far too small for them, but they're very reminiscent of the boxes they go into in Flip Flap to go to Pure Illusion.
Yes.
But like, it shows this shot of Coconut from the front, and she's just crammed in this box, and she's got this thing in her hand, and you're just like, what is that? And then all of a sudden it becomes apparent when she gets into this interdimensional cabin of this tank that it's a joystick.
Yes, it's a massive joystick. Yep, and a very compromising. Yes.
Yeah. The first robot they make is called the Papina King, because I like that. Sorry, I did. It fails.
Coconut. Yeah.
So Yayaka, she gets a giant semi truck, which turns into a robot, which is of course supposed to be Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime.
They jump in with her and they fight, and that doesn't work. And like, he's like, you gotta do that.
The yelling thing that the other girls
do, that flip flappy thing. She's like, no, I won't. She does, and they all do it together, and they turn into this oversized. It reminded me of Power Rangers, because some of the Power Ranger things are so bulky and dumb looking, but they're supposed to be the ultimate version. It's just this big rectangle with a head on it, basically. Taking off. But it fires one giant energy blast and kills the monster in one hit, and it's a great scene.
There is one good character development scene for Yayaka, because she asks the little man, like, hey, do you have another one of these robots? And he's like, I do, but I want to know why you want it. What do you want? And she's like, well, we got to kill that thing to get the amorphous thing. And he's like, no, do you want to save them? And the twins are right behind her. And
that's what this conflict. The twins were like watching her, like, what do you do?
She was in this conflict of, I want to make sure that I'm showing the right mindset, right? But I am concerned for their lives, specifically Coconut, but I can't show that. So it was a really interesting fight that she was having with herself, because he asked her twice, because she gave some off the cuff, like, crappy answer, and he's like, no, do you want to?
I think it actually had bearing on the situation too, because there's probably no way that she could have been able to transform, because the impedance would have been too high.
Wrong inflection, okay?
We'll get the names right, though.
I really liked how when they win and the crystal comes down, the twins run for it, and Pops comes out and grabs it. He's like, nope, this is for the other two.
And then they're like, we are going to destroy you.
You're so bad.
They get the crystal for this world. The end, though, kind of starts the spiral into the climax, which is where Papika calls Coconut Mimi instead, which is odd to hear because it's like my mom's nickname.
It's interesting to Coconut, though, because she knows this name, but she doesn't know who this person is or why Papika knows this name.
I don't think she knew it yet. Like, at first,
yet.
Oh,
yeah,
she
found
learns
out
of it later. Okay,
but it does start a thought process in her of why is she doing this with me? Why me? And she really starts to self-doubt this bond she's formed with her. And am I being used? That becomes a big theme for Coconut from here on out is, am I just being used because I'm the only one who can? Am I just a tool?
I was just going to say, I thought that it was very awkward how this just instantly, Papika just suddenly starts doing this. Oh, Mimi. There was no like gradual leading up to it.
One flashback before this.
But Paprika never made the mistake of saying Mimi or talking about things that she didn't experience with Kokona. And then they try to explain it away very soon here by saying she got her memories back. But if she got her memories back, Mimi always had long hair. Like, this was not Mimi. Mimi never went adventuring with her into these other worlds. Like, there was no reason for her to make that mistake. And I thought it was forced.
They could have, and we didn't see it off screen because they made a very, very big deal of who's compatible with Mimi.
Yeah, but doing it off screen like that for something so important, I don't think counts.
Okay, but how did they get to the desert? Anyways,
now let's keep going.
Bad storytelling.
Yep.
Yes,
that's what I got.
The next episode starts with a scene where Yayaka meets her replacement, whose name is...
That's the one.
Niu.
I really hate that character.
She's the
third... not even for her. She's not a bad character. She's just...
out of place.
Plus, like, that's where they went too far.
With the tiny girl.
Fan service on her was the worst.
That was the worst. That was overboard. Yeah. I mean, I didn't like
fan service in this one, and I usually do, but we all had a discussion about lolly fan service and its place.
Right.
It's just not for me.
Yeah, not for me either.
Fan service, like, it normally doesn't even, I don't even notice it. Like, if you go to our fan service minisode, I don't remember the fan service shows that I've seen, right? And so for me, them transforming didn't bother me because I just saw it as like, oh, this is a parody on Sailor Moon. They're going to make fun of it by going to the extreme. But then they bring out Niu, and I'm like, come on, the parody was made. You're done. You don't have to keep going.
She's the third amorphous child, which means she has the same powers as Kokona, right?
As the twins.
The twins.
Which what are the twins' power?
Because they can track. They have the ability to track.
Okay. What I understood about the twins was that they were constructed with the genetics of the Amorphous, which is supposed to be copies of Mimi. So they're like clones in some way of Mimi. And the two of them being so close-knit, twins and all, have very low impedance. And Yayaka was never able to have the same level of impedance to be able to have the power that they do. And this one is supposed to be able to sync up with them.
Also, Yayaka made it very clear that she cannot go to pure illusion by herself. She needs somebody to take her. Therefore, that's why she hangs out with the twins, because the twins are what gets her in and out.
Yeah. That impedance barrier. Yep.
However, this is changed at the last second because she begs for another chance, and they're like, all right, but you have to get both of the gems. You have to get the gem for this mission, and you have to get the one from Kokona. Kokona gets upset and starts another argument. And her and Paprika start fighting when they go on this mission, and they're basically in this big blank room that space doesn't matter. That's important because people seem to run for a long time or distance, and they're still like 5 feet from where they started. Basically, it's a big brawl between these two groups, and it ends up with Kokona and the twins locked in a trap, watching Yayaka and Paprika fight on the outside, and the fight's even not that serious. Like, at one point they get tired and they take a food break, and then they start fighting again. But it leads to Paprika and Kokona making up because they both bash on the trap at the same time, and that manages to break it because the trap reacts to Kokona's emotions. Again, I think these worlds are Kokona's because she seems to be the thing that makes things work.
Yeah. I think it has to do with the crystal in her leg giving her special powers in each of them.
That could be.
Yeah.
The big ending, though, is basically Yayaka fights Kokona 1-1, traps themselves in an ice globe or something. They have a big one-on-one fight, and she just beats her easily, knocks her out of her transformation. Takes the
Paprika or Kokona? Kokona.
Sorry.
Right.
And then goes to cut the crystal out of her leg and can't bring herself to do it. The twins see this and attack, and she takes the blunt of the damage and shields Kokona. And then Paprika manages to get the twins to back off. They have the crystal, so they just leave because that's their priority.
I think she injures the boy Toto at that point.
Yeah,
he got injured.
Yeah, that's where he gets it from.
Yeah, that becomes fairly important. Yeah.
Right. And then so they take Yayaka back to Flip Flap because
Now-
she's actually injured.
Just very quickly, audience, you might think that when we said that Kokono was a pushover and she gets bullied all the time and never like stands up and has a spine, you might think that this is a contradicting moment here because she's getting in a fight with Papika over Mimi. And the thing that really stands out here is that this is just a fit of jealousy because of, why do you care so much about this Mimi? Apparently I'm not important to you. It was always her. And that's why it's like, it feels so awkward and it feels so out of place because it comes on this tale of she's been bullied and bullied and bullied. She likes the abuse or something. And so now she's wondering if that abuse is just secondhand and meant for someone else too. It's so weird. It doesn't seem.
It also bugged me that they resolved it, even though they didn't resolve anything. And this issue comes right back up at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
And the issue's right back in their face. They're both upset about it again.
This happens a lot where the two of them are always like reaching out and grasping hands and like, I love you. I'll never leave you. I'll always hold on. Oh, me too. I'll always hold on. Yeah. And then like, boom, you're the worst. I hate you. Yeah.
So we're about to get into Mimi. So let's talk about the character Mimi. Spoiler, it is Kokona's mom and Papika's old lip flapping partner.
Yeah. Wow.
Jason, this is your favorite character.
Yes. From a parental standpoint, I was able to connect with Mimi, but then I also saw her as this well of potential as far as a villain and a mother's love gone wrong. And they do it. No, they don't. They did an okay job with it. But they messed up. Like they started down the path, and it was like, yes, we're gonna get some substance. This is gonna get good, and then it doesn't. She and it's a good spot to note that Papika is the same age as Mimi and Dr. Salt, but at some point she turned young.
Mimi did it somehow.
No.
Who did it?
Do we know how she turned young?
Kokono created a friend her age.
But Kokono walked up and said, you were an old lady, and then you were a baby, and now you're just like me.
Now you're just like me. In Pure Illusion, Kokono walks up to her, so Kokono is already going to Pure Illusion as a child, and just like the bunny turned into a hero, Papika turned into a friend of the exact same age.
Yeah, but then she came out of Pure Illusion that young again?
Yes.
And then Kokona freed her, and so then she went and joined Flip Flapper and started having other partners. Okay. And
I've already said before, this scene is throwing dirt into a giant plot hole. Doesn't fix it.
Anyways,
so much of like, how did we go from here to what we know? I don't know. But
so the reason I like Mimi is you find out that she is responsible for every single villain these guys have had to fight that is not the Yayaka and the twins. And she summons like these really nasty blobby tentacled skull things, and then she summons the black lady from episode 3
and the giant monster, and
we come to find out that like she's responsible for the dimensions, but is also responsible for all the villains. So and the reason I attached to this character so much is because it was this, it was this mother's love for their child gone wrong so far, and then you've got this villain with just this immense power and control over everything around you.
She even said that she was the one that allowed them to transform.
Yeah.
Which is a great scene. I yelled out, psych!
Which made her a very interesting character. Unfortunately, we don't meet her until episode 11?
Yeah, end of episode 10 when she shows up and we don't hear her speak till 11.
Yeah, so.
Jeremy, go ahead.
This for me is where the show just goes so weird off the rails. everything I'd seen so far was hard enough to follow and to make sense of. But seeing the situation with Mimi and the past, as we get these flashbacks, and we learn about her relationship with Paprika, how they were friends, they were both in this institute. Mimi was the original amorphous child that could attach or could open up the pure illusion dimension and be able to allow people to research it, and how all this, I liked that story about like, well, she was a research
Actually, that
person.
backstory is better than the whole story we've had.
Exactly.
I would agree.
Exactly. And so seeing all that, I was like, wow, this is really cool. But the moment that I saw Paprika being an adult back then, and I started to see like all of the directions that the rest of the footage went, where like Paprika and Coconut are clearly in a romantic relationship by the end of this series, I can't get the image of Paprika being an adult woman out of my mind. Not only an adult woman, but the adult woman that was like the best friend with the mother of Coconut, that was like holding her as a baby. And if like I've been trying to figure out like, how does this make sense? And like you say, if Coconut's the one that turned her into a little girl, maybe she brainwashed her to be her best friend in every way forever. I don't know. It's such a weird situation that to me comes off as almost taped together,
Right.
in order to fit the overall theme of this series.
And I got another hole for you, Troy. If she turned it from a young lady to a child in pure illusion, and Coconut did it to her, how did Paprika get into pure illusion?
They were already in pure illusion.
Mimi locked her in there somehow magically?
She jumped with Mimi when... Okay, so we'll eventually get to that backstory where Mimi takes Coconut into pure illusion to run away from the world. Paprika jumps in after her, and...
This is when she's an adult.
There's a scene where she gives the baby to Paprika.
That's a flashback.
Which is a flashback. But then...
Disconnected.
The next scene is Paprika locked in that tree.
Right, but
And
Coconut comes as a young girl, not
Coconut's like 7 then. Or maybe she's 23. I can't tell.
I don't understand how we get to that point. I don't understand where that happens after that point. But that point does happen. And
that point exists somewhere along the continuum.
You know what? This is not worth it. Let's continue.
I wanted to comment on something Jeremy said. I agree with Jeremy's statement, because not only is the relationship weird because, like, if my best friend ever wants to date my daughter, he's a dead man.
She's a dead man.
And at the same time, while that weirdness is there, this relationship, I don't think this anime does a good job of earning this relationship. I don't feel a strong chemistry or connection. I love romantic animes, and I love watching people fall in love, and I did not watch that in this anime. I just watched a girl who's super clingy and weird, and another girl who's a pushover who eventually goes, all right.
Mm-hmm. And then gets jealous.
Yeah, I did not enjoy the relationship. And so when that weirdness comes in, if it was a good relationship, I might have been like, yeah, but we've watched this grow and develop, and I feel like it's strong, and I did not have that. My thoughts on Mimi is mostly agree with Jason's. I
got sidetracked. Sorry. I got sidetracked into my
no one cares what I think anyway. So.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you and Jason about Mimi. She was a very interesting character.
She was. And like you said, her backstory, her Salt and Paprika's backstory was the best part of the story.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh man, a lot happens here. Basically, the Flip Flap group is attacked by the cult group, led by the twins. They're trying to get to Coconut because she has that gem. She basically finds out my best friend Yayaka was spying on me for this evil group. Paprika has been using me and has kind of lied to me because she knows who Mimi is, and now she knows she's been dreaming about Mimi because the dream girl told her name. And she's like, okay, so you know something. Flip Flap has obviously been using me because they never answer my questions. They tell me what to do, and they force me to do stuff. And so she runs away. And she runs home to the one person she can trust.
I called
Grandma.
I called it.
Grandma and Jeremy. Jeremy sent us a message like 3 episodes in. Grandma's in a wheelchair. She's evil.
She's evil, man. In anime, inevitably, people in wheelchairs are always hiding something. It's like evil powers come with disabilities. It's amazing.
And so, like as Jason pointed out, she's a robot, and she has all these other robot soldiers, and they go to capture her. Coconut freaks out, and all the amorphous gems get pulled to her. And there's this big explosion of light. Her house is destroyed. All these people are killed, or these robots are killed. And then you hear Mimi say, "I will protect you." And that's when we find out that that's her mom. And she not only is going to protect her, she's going to possess her body.
Yeah, there'll be no more Kokona.
Super, super messed up mom.
Kokona.
This version of Mimi goes back to the cult and starts murdering them with flowers. Because
that was actually really cool.
Right.
I liked that method.
I wanted one to take off his mask and to see which one was the dad. I assumed it was the one.
Oh,
the one in the white, but there's a guy in red who shows up later too. I wasn't sure if it was him.
Are they supposed to be the KKK?
That they were certainly. Maybe that was another reference. I don't know.
I did love the scene where the guy had he was half flowers, and he's like walking towards the twins. He's like, "Forget about your brother who's on the table. Treat me."
And she goes no when he falls.
He just dies.
Yeah.
Mimi and Salt have a confrontation back at the old laboratory. And then we get the big flashback of he's an adult and she's an adult. And his father developed this box so that he can go into pure illusion and people can get into him, right? It's that red gateway. Drives him mad. Salt blames Mimi and Papika for this. They decide they're leaving. Papika tries to tell Salt something before she goes, but she can't. They leave. A year later, they're captured again along with a baby, and Salt realizes, oh no, I got her pregnant.
And just in case anybody wonders, it was entirely mutual. Apparently, him and Mimi really developed a thing over the many years that they grew up there,
which you could sense in that first scene. I mean, as soon as there was that confrontation, I'm like, oh, Salt's the daddy. It wasn't hard to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to help him escape. Things go wrong, and we see Mimi switch her personality in pure illusion to a more aggressive, possessive woman who says, "I will protect Coconut because they will take it away from you. Let me be in control."
Did she switch or did she doppelganger?
She said, "I will switch," and then we saw two images.
Okay,
and
so she has a split personality.
Mm-hmm.
She just the nice one regressed.
And
it was like a reference to Eero's World, that episode 6 scene where you can change.
I saw Golem from Lord of the Rings talking to himself.
Precious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and this is where I see one side is the aggressive mother's love. I want to protect my child no matter what, that every parent has. And the other one's I will trust my child and let them experience the world because that's what's best for them. And it's hard for me, but I'll hold back. And so she switches to the aggressive side and kills almost everyone. Mm-hmm. And then we have that scene where she goes into pure illusion. And then things get real messed up and we don't know what happened. Back in the real world, Papika gets in the way of Salt and this meeting. So that gives Mimi a chance to beat up Salt, and she breaks all his traps. And then she leaves for pure illusion and takes her daughter with her into that boat ride. Is like, we're going to live here in pure illusion. These worlds I made for you forever. Now they start off in the first world, the snow world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
they start revisiting the worlds that they had gone to throughout the episodes.
And then pure illusion starts leaking back in. Salt goes to Yayaka and begs her to go get Papika to go get his daughter back. This is where I have a problem with Salt. You had your daughter there this whole time. You didn't say a word. You're not worth spit.
Mm-hmm.
Raise your kids.
Definitely not Salt Bay.
Yep. I mean, he'd even send her into these situations that were entirely lethal. You know, she could easily have died in all of them without ever knowing it was. So his intention was always toward Mimi, it seemed like.
Right. And he knew the whole time.
Yep,
for sure.
Which he pulls a gun on Mimi at one point.
He pulled a gun on Mimi there because he was gonna kill her in Coconuts' body to stop her.
Which is, yet again, it's for him, it's all about, whatever it takes Mimi. Coconut is nothing to him. She doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So there's two things going on. So there's the Yayaka and Papika chasing after Mimi, and they confront her, and she sends them to all the different worlds they've been to before, and they have to face all the old enemies. While at the same time, Salt and a couple people, that third amorphous child has joined the team for some reason.
Oh God, this is what I mean. Like there was no point in her.
I like the robot. I want to hang out with the robot.
Yeah, she's just there to run around in her little tiny thong, and that's it.
He's going to find his father's experiment, so he goes to the cold place, which we then learn. Hey, guess who was running that thing?
Yep.
And then big battles. This culminates in. Oh, my notes got really nasty here, guys. Papika talks with Mimi. They get past the monsters of a big battle, and she goes, "I remember what you told me." And Mimi stabs her in the back of the head with a tentacle and changes her memory.
I thought that was pretty cool. I wish there was more of.
Like, that's dirty. That is.
Yeah, because she's like, "Don't you remember what you said? You said," and then she's like, "You said exactly." Oh, what did I say?
Memory turns her into a drooling idiot. She's just sitting there, drool coming out of her mouth.
Yeah,
no, that was a great scene. I liked that.
The hero of the day is the good Mimi starts appearing to people. First, she appears to Coconut. Is like, you should probably help.
Yeah, you're just gonna stand here and do nothing.
Quit being worthless.
A pushover. Uh-huh.
She said it nicer, like a loving parent, but I mean, how I talk to my kids is different.
What are you trying to say?
Get the gun out.
Then she goes to Papika and fixes her memory. And there's that great scene where Papika, she's in her super form. She's diving for Coconut's hand. And Mimi goes, "Who do you think's letting you transform?" Click. And she just falls on the ground. That's when I went, psych!
Yeah.
But they do manage to touch. And then they get super powerful white costumes with
wedding dress transfer.
Jeremy thinks they look like wedding dresses.
They totally are. You cannot convince me otherwise. They were wedding dresses.
I'm not trying to convince you. I see it.
Well, they were in love. Of course, they were wedding dresses.
They didn't convince me of that.
Yeah, we've been over that, guys. Best line in the entire anime comes from this episode where the Dr. Hidaka yells, "Boop the switch!" And then the robot into like this Hulk monster robot, which does nothing.
It's a great transformation scene.
Awesome.
It is like a minute long, just showing the awesomeness of this thing.
And telling
his
its
first
stats.
move is he goes down. He's going to stop one of those weird moving snow things, and it just rolls him over.
Yep. It was so great. That was awesome. Yep.
The last episode is the girls battling Mimi and the monsters that she makes, and no matter how hard they fight, they can't seem to be able to stop it. Salt, using that box his father made, gets into the world, and everything he touches dies, which I loved. I love the idea that really cool. He doesn't belong in this world, so he just literally destroys it by being in it. And that doesn't help very much.
No. Completely ineffectual.
Yeah.
Then evil Mimi, she attacks him, and good Mimi saves him. And then evil Mimi's like, "Fine, I'll do that flip flapping thing," and she transforms into a evil magical girl.
I love this scene. I thought it was great.
Yeah, well, I don't understand what you're upset about.
She's the one that gives the power for all these ones to transform. Why does she need to transform to manifest more power? This is all just bull. She's just doing it because of playing. There was no reason.
Is based on your imagination. Everything is bull.
This is farther, though, because this is her world. She's obviously shown that she's the one who's allowed flip-flap transformation, which means it's like giving your daughter a doll and saying, "Here you go, your doll is super powerful now." And so the mother then takes the doll and says, "Look, my doll is now super." No, I'm the mother. Bam. I don't need to transform.
This was nothing more than a power play. This was her base. Yeah, her going.
Kind of rubbing it in her face, like,
so petty.
You haven't even seen my final form.
Well, of course she was petty.
Anime thing.
Of course she was petty because at this point, her good self is now interfering with her plans and her goals, and so like she's like, fine, I'm just going to start destroying this entire reality.
But she was already doing that, wasn't she?
No.
Like, she was already wreaking havoc everywhere and saying, we're going to go to only the worlds I've made for you. And she had remade the section of the world.
The landscape
were there.
The landscape doesn't start being demolished and floating in the air until she transforms and has that weird...
She transforms and she makes a black hole.
And why is it in between her legs?
Right. But I would agree with that,
weird.
but I would also say that that's kind of semantics because she has already like completely metamorphosed the population and destroyed their houses and everything.
Right. If she controls reality, she could literally do anything.
It's done.
She could sit in a chair and do the same thing.
For all intents and purposes, that world is gone.
It's for it's for the cool factor. It's only for the cool factor.
Yeah,
There's no
the visuals
for it. It's to be like, hey, let's watch the bad guy do a transformation too, so that you know it's real serious this time.
So this kind of reminds me of how I watched Gurren Lagann or Gurren Lagann, and I told you what I thought of that. Where I'm like, if you give me all these awesome, crazy, awesome transformations and stuff, that's all cool, but without like a believable story for me to be grounded in, I just can't. This was that for me.
You could be right here. You are not right about Gurren Lagann. Let me finish this, guys.
Sure.
Coconut and Papika confess their love to each other, which is kind of a cute thing. I liked how Coconut turned it on Papika, like, yeah, you love me. I get it. That was a nice moment. Instead of just being sappy and mopey, I like that they had that little bite to it. Then with their newfound strength, they destroy the black hole. One of my favorite scenes is young Salt appears to Salt and says, let's go back and fix this. And he shoots it in the head and goes, no, I swore I'd always remember my mistakes. There's no fixing this.
That was, and that's one of the things that endeared me to that character. Like, we only find out about him in like the last 3 episodes, and it pissed me off.
He was a good character that we just got no time with, and that's not fair to us.
I'm torn on that spot right there because what is the better character? The character who says, I will live with my mistakes and the misery that's caused because I don't know what's going to happen if I try to fix it, or the person who says it's within my power to change, therefore I must change it.
But
I don't know which is
changing it in the illusion.
We don't know that because it seemed to change it for Hiro in the real world.
But that's the thing is like, that's really issue with time travel is you don't know if
paradox.
You don't know if you're changing anything. In case of Point 13 Monkeys, one of my favorite time travel movies, by the way.
12 Monkeys?
Was it 12 or 13?
It's just monkeys.
It's just a monkey thing. Don't worry about it. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, this was. I agreed with the guy, the Salt that had the gun, not the young Salt. So.
I don't know where I stand on it because I always keep thinking of that phrase. I forget who said it, but every man is guilty of the good he has not done or does not do. And so, like, I don't know if that's good. If I could change it, I don't know how many times I'd be willing to try. Oh, you found it, 12 Monkeys.
I was asking for confirmation, not arguing.
Just want to help.
Thank you. Yes, it was 12
Anyways,
monkeys.
So I don't know. As someone who's experienced personal tragedy, I don't know if I would choose to unwind it but it's also a part of me and who I am now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's a hard one.
I can't make that choice. Okay, so this ends with the world's collapsing and Mimi's going to stay there. Salt's already disappeared. Apparently he went back. Papika grabs Kokona in her bubble and sends her out. And so Kokona wakes back up in the real world and they're like, yeah, you can't go back. Everyone's gone. Your father's gone. Your mother's gone. The woman you love is gone. It's all gone. She goes to Yaka. Yaka's like, yeah, it's gone. It's totally gone. And a weird thing is the bunny rabbit is there, and it's just a regular bunny rabbit. She goes back to the pipe, and she's sitting there, and then suddenly Papika shows up, and she's like, "What are you doing?"
So, if you noticed, this was a mirror action for action of the very first episode,
right? Because she was studying, or she was looking at what she wanted to do. Yeah, you're right.
And then she gets scared by her, and
we really. Really? Yes, so she Papika says, "Don't you remember what happened? I threw you out and you busted back in. We're still in pure illusion." "Oh yeah, you're right, we are still in pure illusion." So they transform into magical girls and they fly out of pure illusion back to the real world. And in the real world, everything is fine. And that's the end. Let's go to. Do you have any thoughts on this ending?
Yeah, I think it lends credence to the idea that Kokona has never left pure illusion, because there's so many layers. She never knows what the real world is.
Does the Matrix go?
Right, and like when Neo came out of the Matrix, was he actually out of the Matrix, or was he just in a higher tiered Matrix?
So, at what point do you think that she first went into the pure illusion?
When her mom sucked her in as a baby?
Yes.
And who is Papika? And how old is she really?
That's the thing. Papika could be anything that her mom made her to be.
So
there'd be no way to determine what's real. And
right, because there is no centerpiece within this entire anime to hold on to and say, this is the real world. Because of things like portals in swimming pools and vacuums in statues and magical boxes that can take you to deeper illusions. The idea that there's all these different layers of illusions that's alluded to with the Black Gates, with these last couple of episodes where they're in an illusion, then they go out of an illusion, but they're come back in, then they go into a deeper one. There's no anchor point.
So is Yayaka real?
Who knows?
Are the twins real?
Who knows?
Is the cult real?
Is the landscape she's standing on real? Is the school real?
Jerry, why are you asking the same question when you know what the answer is?
Because if the cult's not real, then how is the memory real of her mother ever even bringing her to this place? And how is the memory of her mother's history with Papika and everything real?
So we're dealing with an inception here where you'll never know what's real.
So I like the idea that you're presenting, but basically what that idea, if I was to sum it all up, what it means is everything we watched was just someone's stoner dream. None of it is real. Nothing.
No, I agree, and that's why I think
that.
I think it's terrible storytelling because it's late.
Yeah, it's a pipe dream. There it is. That's what I was looking for. There
we go.
Yeah, it's a pipe dream because, I actually prefer that because you can overlook all the glaring potholes because they're just an infantile little girl's fantasies of a mind that has never experienced interacting with any other human being, and so she's just generating whatever images come to her mind.
Think about the ending credits scene. Never in the entire anime did they come out of pure illusion and they were falling from the sky.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then how did Boo get the hoverboard to them so quickly? And there are no other hoverboards in the entire anime, but Papika has one.
There's just the two from Flip Flap. That's it. Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like hoverboard. Like everything else seems to be modern, like cars and schools, but she's got a hoverboard. Yeah,
and nobody seems to care. Whenever people see it, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares that she's got this
low across the street.
Yeah.
Hovers on it slowly in the middle.
That's why I think ever since she was a baby, she's never left pure illusion. But that's just my opinion.
I actually like that better than the show.
Interesting, but it is kind of wipe. It's a Dallas. Like, hey, I just watched 2 seasons of something that didn't matter. But
yeah.
Let's go to final review so we can wrap this up, guys.
Okay.
So Jeremy, you picked it.
I know. I thoroughly regret my choices. I have to give this a 2 out of 5 Bakas. I was going to give it a 1, but it has moments that make me laugh out loud. It has moments where I say, I am impressed with the way that you presented this parody or this tribute even to other anime. And I think it does a good job in some of those key moments. Like Paprika makes me laugh a lot. The rabbit was great. That was hysterical. I didn't expect it. The way that the robot transformed, Boo transformed in the end. There's a handful of things. The robot battle, the way that it dipped into the different genres. Some of them it did horrible. Some of them it did okay. And then there are spots within a few of them that it did really good. And so for that, it kind of, it elevates it from a 1 to a 2 for me. But again, I have to say everything we've talked about, it is so like the story either doesn't matter at all, or it's so full of holes that it's flimsy. And the major theme seems to be the relationship between Paprika and Coconut. That is like the major theme throughout the episode, throughout the season, the series. And I don't consider it to have been developed enough for me to have any confidence in their relationship whatsoever. So 2 out of 5.
Yeah, as Troy said, they didn't earn it.
Mm-mm.
How about you, Jason?
I'm also giving it a 2, but I'm leaning towards a 3. But I just don't have enough justification to get it there. Like I said at the beginning, I enjoyed the character development of some of the characters. The visuals were amazing, and even the audio was good. I prefer a story I can follow and that makes sense, and that I don't have so many blaring questions at the end. I shouldn't walk away out of an anime asking for basic storyline questions. Like, I shouldn't have those questions. Like, wanting more out of an anime is usually pretty good, but wanting to know what I watched is not good.
I haven't felt like this since I watched 90s anime all the time. 90s anime always had this, like, didn't make sense, didn't explain anything to it.
And I don't need I don't need exposition. I don't need a half of an episode of two people talking, giving me the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Visual storytelling is okay. Like Grandma being a robot. I picked up on that. All the different pop culture references. Like I picked up on quite a few of those. Like I know how to read a story through visuals. They didn't do that. Right. And so, 2 for me.
I'm also going to give it 2 for almost all the reasons you guys have said. But I want to put an asterisk on it. And the first thing I want to say is I don't regret watching this at all like Jeremy does. And I'm actually really proud of Jeremy for at least stepping out of our comfort zone, especially on this podcast, what we're used to, and taking a risk. And that's going to lead to some bad stuff, but I think bad stuff can lead to some good discussion too. I don't regret seeing this because it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It was completely weird and off the wall, and I felt it was very original for what it was trying to do, and I can appreciate it for that. When I can walk away saying I saw that, it wasn't great, but it was totally different, and I like experiencing different things. So only 2 Bakas for me. This is not a good anime.
No. I think one of the things that could have fixed it was instead of it being a romance and coming of age anime, if it was more if like halfway through they did a better job explaining a pure illusion and Mother became the loving villain that she was, it was alluding it to her, but didn't like quite give it away yet at that point. And they focused on that. They focused on this idea that mommy knows best. I think really could have sold this anime better.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. If you would like to comment on what you thought of Flip Flappers or any anime that we watched, you can reach us on Twitter at Baka Podcast. You can reach us on our email, theanimebakaclub@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment wherever you found this podcast, whether it be on YouTube, iTunes, or wherever. We would love to hear from you, and we almost always respond. I do most of responding. Unless you guys have specific questions for the other host, I do always share like what's being discussed and let them know. So
he's the PR rep.
Yeah, whoever
As
you
well
want
as
to talk to,
us.
you can call out names too. You will hear from us. Our next anime is chosen by me, and I just wanted to take some of the pain away from Jeremy. So I chose Nanbaka. We're going to be watching the first season this next 2 weeks, and probably the second season after these 2 weeks. If we all hate it, I don't think we'll go on. But if we're at least okay with it, then we will watch both seasons. This is an anime. It's a comedic anime with a little bit of anime battle in it. And it's about prisoners in the greatest prison of all time, but they're the 4 best escapees of all time. And it's very silly. It's very fun. I've seen the first episode before. Get ready for sparkles. There's just sparkles around the characters nonstop all the time, every minute. Eventually you even stop noticing it's sparkling, but it never stops sparkling. I don't know why they did it. But the rest of the anime, very solid. I'm looking forward to it. And with that will do it. If you guys have anything to say before we go?
Nope. Just
go watch.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Please watch Madoka Magica if you haven't seen it. It is really a good magical girl show.
True that. And Kill la Kill. Both
yeah.
Good. Kill la Kill's female relationship done much better.
Heck yeah.
Way better.
Heck yeah.
All right. That'll be it. Sayonara.